Welcome to my channel. Today I was exploring in my backyard, and I think I found something crazy. I found a hidden room underground. It's quite a mystery. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. It all started when I was looking around for some of my childhood toys that I'd lost a long time ago. My mom said they were out here somewhere in the backyard, so I thought I'd take a little walk and see if I could find them. And that's when I saw it. Right over there, something strange. You can see that this part of the grass is completely dead. That was odd, because just yesterday I was playing with my drone right over there, and the drone was flying perfectly fine. But now, the grass has completely died. Now you may notice that there are a couple other spots like that in this general area, but that one really stood out. And so I decided I was going to investigate. I got on my hands and knees and started to dig down into the dirt, and to my surprise, I hit something hard. I kept digging, and eventually I hit my hand, busted open, and bleeding. That's when I knew whatever was under here was no longer a mystery. It was something man-made. I grabbed a shovel from the shed and continued to dig, and sure enough, I discovered a wooden box. It was only about 2 feet down, but apparently that's deep enough to cause permanent damage to your hand. The box itself was completely rotten and falling apart. This thing must have been buried here for decades. Eventually, using another shovel, I was able to completely unearth the box and take it out of the hole. It was huge. It was probably originally painted white, but now you couldn't tell what color it was. The wood was so rotten. I opened up the box, and it was empty. There was nothing inside. Apparently anything that was once inside has completely decomposed by now, so that's when I decided to keep digging. Maybe there was something else in this hole. As I continued to dig, I came across a bunch of rocks that were cemented together. They formed kind of a layer at the bottom of this hole. I continued to dig through the dirt until I reached solid rock. That's when I realized I wasn't going to be able to dig any further. Whatever else was down there, I wasn't going to be able to find it. I needed a machine to help me. So that's when I called in the big guns. I called my friend. He brought over his excavator, and we decided to dig a bigger hole. We spent several hours digging, and we still didn't find anything. But then finally, as we were about to give up, we hit something solid again. We dug down a little bit more, and sure enough, we found a concrete slab. It looked like there was something sitting on top of it, but it was too far down for us to reach. That's when I came up with a crazy idea. I went back to the house and grabbed my metal detector. I walked it over the spot where we were excavating, and it started to beep wildly. That meant we were onto something. We got the excavator to move away some of the dirt and expose whatever was down there. It was huge. It was a metal plate, and on it was stamped the date 1939, and on the other side it said 1940. What did this mean? Well, I think this was the year that the owners of this house built this structure. But why? Why would they build this concrete slab and then cover it back up with dirt? Was it a root cellar? Was it a safe room? Was it an old well? I don't know, but I want to find out. And that's when we made the most amazing discovery yet. We used a crowbar to start prying up the concrete slab. It was difficult because of all the dirt that had accumulated on top of it. Eventually, we were able to get enough dirt out of the way and pry up the slab, and what we found was insane. It was a wooden door and doorknob. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The door was completely sealed shut. It had cement on top of it so that no water would trickle in and seep through the cracks. I knocked on the door and it sounded hollow. Whatever was behind this door was not accessible anymore. It was that moment that I knew, whatever this was, it hadn't been opened in a very long time. It was over 80 years. I tried turning the doorknob, but it wouldn't budge. It had seized up because of age and rust. I tried prying at the door, but it wouldn't open. It was extremely difficult to open, but eventually I heard a creaking sound, and then suddenly the door swung open. I couldn't believe it. As you can see, it was pitch black inside. So I stuck my head in and tried to see what was on the other side. To my surprise, there was a staircase leading downwards. I grabbed my flashlight and shined it down the stairs. There were 5 steps that led into total darkness. I was curious what was down there. What kind of door is this? Where does it lead to? I decided I was going to go down there and investigate. As I went down the first step, I noticed that the floor was sloped upwards towards the door. That meant that if the door was propped open even slightly, water would trickle in and flow down the staircase. It would eventually make its way outside, and this would prevent the door from seizing up. I continued to go down the staircase. It was very steep, and at the bottom there was a landing. It was very small, maybe 3 feet by 3 feet. At the end of the hallway was another door, but it wasn't a normal door. It was a solid steel door. On it was a big lock. I walked closer and realized that the keyhole was completely rusted shut. No key was getting through there. And then I noticed a little window up above. I walked over to it and shined my light through the glass. It was a very small window, and that meant whoever designed this room didn't want anybody to come in here. But what was this place? What was the purpose of this room? I walked over to the wall and put my hand on it. It was very cold, almost freezing. That meant whatever this room was, it had been sealed off for a very long time. It wasn't used anymore. Whatever happened here happened a long time ago, and I noticed a couple other details. First, there was a vent on the ceiling. Air could come in and out of this room. Second, there was a drain in the corner. Any excess water would leave the room and go outside. Third, there were electrical wires coming down from the ceiling. Finally, there was a small hole in the wall next to the door. I stuck my finger in it, and it was hollow. It meant there was a pipe running through this wall. What did all of this mean? What meant that this room had both electricity and ventilation and a way for water to leave the room. That meant that this could have been used as a root cellar or perhaps even a wine cellar. But it also could have been used for something more nefarious. Because of the fact that the door could be locked from the outside, this could have been used as a safe room or even a prison. You see, the owners of this house were born in the 1920s, and they lived through the Great Depression and World War II. Perhaps they built this room as a bomb shelter. In case bombs were ever dropped, they could hide down here. Perhaps they used it as a root cellar. They grew vegetables in their backyard and they stored them down here to preserve them for later. Whatever the case, this is a piece of history. It was built in 1939, right before America entered World War II. But who knows what else went on down here after that? It's unknown. I wish I could have seen what was going on back in the day, and I want to thank my friend for helping me out. Brought over the excavator and helped me uncover this amazing piece of history. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think this room was used for? Do you think it was used for something nefarious? Or was it used for something simple like storing food? Let me know in the comments below. Before you go, please make sure to subscribe. It really helps me out. And if you want to see more videos of me exploring, there should be a link to a playlist of my other videos right here. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.